In today's news, a vaccine stock to expire soon. Residents encouraged to take vaccines. COI hearings continue today. The Honorable Carvin Malone, Myron V Walwyn, Ronnie W. Skelton, and Ingrid Moses Scatliffe meet with Commissioner. Premier Fahie calls for seminars after many legislators, past and present, found to be in breach of the Declaration of Registrar of Interest. The Honorable Mark Vanterpool found to be in breach for some 6 years. Immigration Department did not give instruction that resulted in a mother and child separation, says Honorable Vincent Wheatley. In historic sporting history, 2 sitting legislators become the first to play in a softball league. All this and so much more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today. The win.
What the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Welcome, everybody. It's Monday, June 21st, 2021. I'm Ron Grant, coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the beautiful British Virgin Islands. From Tortola to Just Van Dyke to Virgin Gorda and Anegada, we've got you covered with your daily news updates. Now, before we get into our newscast, I want to touch on some very interesting happenings. Beginning, of course, 2 sitting legislators of the British Virgin Islands, the Honourable Neville Sheep-Smith and the Honourable Kai Reimer, captured on the Walwyn E. Bruley softball field, as you can see on our screen, keeping the sport of softball alive in the Virgin Islands. Pitcher Neville Sheep-Smith left and infielder Kai Reimer not only became the first Legislative Council, House of Assembly members to ever play in a league, but also in a playoff series, championship series, and continued to winning their first game. Wonderful job there by both members of the House of Assembly. The current stock of vaccines will expire on the 31st of July. Persons who have not taken their first shot on or before the 3rd of July will not have enough time to have both shots and get fully protected. Officials say they are certain when more stock, they are not certain, when more stock will be available, and residents in that same breath are encouraged to take the vaccine. Residents can take the 2 shots 4 weeks apart. So if you are thinking about getting the vaccine, now is the time to do so. Of course, vaccine centers are located all across the territory of the Virgin Islands, Monday through Friday on Tortola, Virgin Gorda, Just Van Dyke, and Anegada. Now, the COI hearings continue this week. Today, Monday, June 21st, 2021, the Commissioner met with the Honorable Carvin Malone, Myron V Walwyn, Ronnie W. Skelton, and Ingrid Moses Scatliffe. They sat with the Commissioner and answered a number of questions on the Declaration of Interest. Premier and Minister of Finance on the issue of the COI said and has expressed a need for having seminars to educate members of the House of Assembly on how to properly complete important obligatory documents such as the Register of Interest Declaration form. Premier Fahie's call came during his recent Commission of Inquiry hearing on Friday, June 18th. This was after the COI attorney Bilal Rawat revealed that the Premier had submitted each of his declarations since 2015. After the deadline date, according to Rawat, the Premier submitted his 3 declarations, which were due for June 23rd for 2015 to 2017 on July 19th, 2017. He again submitted his June 23rd, 2018 and March 12th, 2019 and 2020 declarations all on May 5th, 2021. Rawat noted that all but one of the Premier's declarations were in breach of both Section 3 and Section 7 of the Registrar of Interest Act, and in some cases by more than 2 years. Now, Section 3 of the Act requires elected members to submit their declaration upon the date of taking office and on each anniversary of that said date. Section 7 allows for a submission on the declaration within 3 months of the deadline date and states that submissions outside the 3 months are in breach of the Act, which warrants a written report by the registrar and the possibility of facing other penalties. Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andre Fahie, in explaining the need for seminars, said that he believes it will be almost impossible to find at least 2 legislators past or present, who have submitted the Registrar of Interest Act 2006 declaration on time since its introduction in 2008. Take a look.
From the time this was introduced, I think I didn't get to watch or listen to a lot of other testimonies, but I can almost be sure that it would be hard pressed to find two members, living or dead, who was on time with this farm or who would fill it out in the same way. And from the time I was in politics and this came up, being younger then, you were kind of left to yourself to figure things out. And one of the areas that we want to improve is to make sure that from in the future that you have seminars on this, whether it be the registrar or which would be the one to have it, so that persons won't be lost, because it's hard to guide other persons how to fill the form out or what it means exactly if you yourself from the inception never had that training. And no one's fault. It just wasn't not. It was something new that came into the Constitution. There was still some ambiguity in some of the numbers and the areas. So it is clear it's a good system, but it definitely needs. I wouldn't only say improvement, but it also needs to help persons to come on the same page with it, along with some additional. In additional laws for the choice of words, not just from the committee, but from institution-wise, because you can't leave persons who are busy in anything to be the ones to keep them up to date with anything, although it doesn't sound good. But once you get busy, you need an institution that keeps you, I would call it in time, with what you have to file, when you have to file, and how you have to do that.
The system that you as a member of the House of Assembly operate under has been in existence for 13 years. The Act does not impose upon a registrar an obligation to notify you of the need to file a declaration, nor does it impose upon a registrar the need to send notices to you. But that is what, in fact, this registrar did. Time and time again, every year she would send members a letter notifying them, supplying them with the declaration. But there are a significant number of them stretching back over years where the registrar has written to you not only in advance of the date of the declaration, telling you when it was due, but also reminding you that you were overdue. And you just appeared, as other members also appear to have done, to have simply ignored.
Viewers, that was Premier Fahie during the COI hearing. Now, Premier Fahie, while stating that it is a good system that already exists, stressed on the need for improvement, which may take the form of new legislation. Registrar has been reminding members repeatedly members were delinquent. Meanwhile, Attorney Rawat highlighted the reoccurrence of the Registrar of Interest repeatedly notifying members of their obligations, stating that on several occasions they refused to oblige to the Registrar's requests. Now, Rawat also pointed to a number of instances where the Registrar wrote to the Premier on numerous occasions. Now, viewers, still ahead, the Honorable Mark Vanterpool found to be in breach for some 6 years. Immigration Department says they did not give instruction that resulted in mother and child separation, says the Honorable Vincent Wheatley. All this and so much more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News. Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Father Jesus, that line here long like church service.
Alright, do enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer in line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut fun people.
It's okay. I'll take care of it.
What? No man, forget you.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Continuing on the local scene on the matter of the COI, a member of the 4th Electoral District, the Honorable Mark Vanterpool, has not filed a Registrar of Interest declaration form for the periods of 2011 to 2016. This was revealed during the ongoing Commission of Inquiry on Friday, June 18th, after Vanterpool was brought before the inquiry to answer a number of questions. The COI's attorney, Bilal Rawat, asked Vanterpool why he did not disclose that he had not submitted a declaration for a period of some 6 years. Vanterpool replied he had no excuses and accepted his delinquent behavior. Take a look.
But what you did not do was answer the question that the Commissioner had asked. Why didn't you disclose that for 6 years you had not even filed a single declaration?
Commissioner, I would not try to defend anything or try to make an excuse. It was not done. It was negligent on my part. And I have learned my lessons from that. And it's something of such importance, I would suggest, especially for the purpose of future persons involved, that you need not be negligent on an important matter like this, but I was. And I don't have any specific reason that I can give you to make an excuse for that.
Viewers, attorney Rawat further highlighted that Vanterpool also did not disclose that he was late in 2017 to 2020 declarations. When asked about whether the opposition legislators had taken steps to submit his 2021 declaration, which is due by July 16th, Vanterpool replied that he will be making his submission for this year within the coming days. Why did it take 8 years to establish a standing select committee? Rawat then proceeded to ask Vanterpool, who was in office at the time under the National Democratic Party administration, why it took a period of 6 years after the act came into force from 2008 to establish a standing select committee. Now, Vanterpool said he did not know the exact reason, but pointed out to one particular technicality of the procedure to establish such a committee. Listen in.
At the time that the Act came into force, you would have, and the registrar had wrote in one letter that she was reduced to begging members to complete their declarations. You would have been in the House of Assembly when the registrar was making her pleas to the House. And yet it took 6 years for a standing committee to be established. Again, because you were there, from your recollection, can you give the Commissioner any reason as to why it took so long to set up a standing select committee?
Commissioner, I can't say specifically why. It not have taken that long, but the only thing I can recall in terms of the technicality of it was that the standing orders did not include such a committee. And therefore, the Standing Orders Committee had to be convened to make that adjustment to establish such a committee. Now, there is no excuse for it taking that long for that to happen. But until the Standing Orders Committee was convened and revised to include such a committee, it wasn't done. But that is no excuse for it taking that long. But I'm just saying that was on the technicalities of that had to be.
Now, according to Rawat, the committee was established in April of 2016, of which Vanterpool was made the chairman. The committee only met once within Vanterpool's chairmanship, which was in 2017. The leader of the opposition and District 8 representative, the Honorable Marlon A. Penn, was also found to be in breach for a total of 6 years for submitting late documents. Continuing on the local scene, Labor and Immigration Minister, the Honorable Vincent Wheatley, has refuted recent claims which suggested that the Immigration Department gave instructions that resulted in the separation of a mother and her child. Now, in a statement issued on Friday, June 18th, the minister vividly explained the details involving the case and said his ministry went above and beyond to assist the woman in question. He said, and I quote, "Firstly, I would like to make it abundantly clear that at no time did the Immigration Department give any instructions or demands that would have resulted in the separation of this individual from their infant child, as has been widely broadcast. However, I will endeavor to give the facts of the case so that clarity can be brought to you, the public," he stated. The minister said the woman was in the process of switching jobs during the pandemic in July of 2020, but it was untimely the new employer's non-compliance with the requested requirements from the Department of Labor that resulted in her having to briefly leave the territory to return. Now, conditional permit was specifically approved by the Chief Immigration Officer. Wheatley pointed to a number of instances where the Immigration Department went above and beyond to facilitate the woman's request to have her remain in the territory without having to depart. Now, this included the approval of a conditional permit, which was approved by the Chief Immigration Officer after she initially did not qualify for such a permit. He said, and I quote, "The Act stipulates that an individual attempting to change employer should have held valid permits to engage in gainful occupation for at least 5 years, preceding the date of the application. Now, the Act also allows for a person seeking to change from residing without employment should have had a valid permit to reside in the territory, other than for the purpose of engaging in any gainful occupation for at least 3 years, preceding the date of the application. The individual in question did not meet the 5-year requirement for persons who are seeking to change employer. However," he said, after further assessment by the department of the individual's case and the ongoing pandemic, the Chief Immigration Officer utilized his discretion as per Section 31 of the Act and approved the issuance of a conditional permit for the individual on 11th of August 2020 for a period of 3 months, as is the customary issue time. He further explained, now employee and employer unable to meet requirements of Labor Code 2010. Wheatley said that after the conditional permit was approved to allow for the transitioning into the new job, several discrepancies were found from the employer and employee that were never rectified. He said, during the 3-month period, it is expected that an individual would undergo the change of employer work permit processing with the Department of Labor and Workforce Development and subsequently return to the Immigration Department to complete the work permit process. However, the individual and prospective employer were unable to meet a number of the very important requirements of the Labor Code 2010, as was stipulated by the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. This resulted in the denial of the work permit in the late November of 2020, by which time the issued conditional permit had already lapsed. He added the individual, after receiving information on the denial of the work permit, had not presented herself to the Immigration Department until the February 23rd, 2021, 3 months after the issued conditional permit had lapsed. During an interview held on that date, the individual was informed that they had been overstaying in the territory and the full ramifications of such an offense was shared. Subsequently, the individual was asked to surrender the travel documents, to which she complied. The individual was then asked to acquire a ticket to depart the territory, as had surpassed the usual allotted time for any reasonable extensions to the conditional permit to be issued. He further said, despite expired conditional permit, CIO was willing to find a solution. Wheatley, who is the 9th District Representative, also said that additional measures were taken by the Chief Immigration Officer to find a possible solution despite the expired conditional permit. However, after the CIO ordered a further assessment to be carried out with the employer and the woman in question, it was highlighted that there were continued non-compliance with the Department of Labor and Workforce Development and their requirements. This resulted in maintaining the decision to deny the work permit. He said it was agreed that the matter was beyond repair and that the individual was informed that they would have to depart the territory, as it was clear that no further effort was made by the employer to rectify the matter. Immigration Department organized travel documents for child. The minister also said that the Immigration Department went above and beyond to furnish the infant child with the necessary documents that would allow both mother and child to depart the territory together. However, the woman departed the BVI without the infant on May 30th, 2021, and returned on the 9th of June with a new clearance for employment with the previously proposed employer. It would be remiss of me, he said, to not mention again that the separation of the infant from its parent was not the fault nor a directive of the Immigration Department, but rather a decision made by the parent when confronted with a choice related to their travel capabilities, the minister said. Now, Wheatley applauded the chief immigration officer and his department for their exceptional work in assisting with the aforementioned case. We thank the Honorable Minister for his clarity. Viewers, up next, Disaster Management Council to review hurricane readiness ahead of the 2021 hurricane season, and Guyana declared flooding a national disaster. All this and so much more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today. The win.
What the hell?
I'm freaking out.
Is about these people.
It's always a pleasure coming to you live and direct from the
What's poppin'? What's really good?
Davis has won it for the Lakers.
Viewers, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Now, the National Disaster Management Council of the British Virgin Islands met virtually on Friday, June 18th to discuss the territory's hurricane readiness and consider strategic steps to finalize seasonal preparations for the territory. The interagency body sets territorial disaster risk reduction policy and is made up of leaders from government departments and ministers, statutory bodies, and key non-governmental partners. This was the first NDMC meeting chaired by His Excellency the Governor of the Virgin Islands, John Ranking, who leads the NDMC alongside co-chair, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy. Now, Governor Ranking said he has been impressed with the preparedness activities he has seen, including on recent visits and site to emergency shelters. He looks forward, he said, to the NDCM's continued success in coordinating disaster risk reduction that is truly comprehensive and based on the best practices for reducing risk, including for vulnerable populations. He said, and I quote, "The NDMC pulls together experts from the Department of Disaster Management, the Security and Protection Force, the health sector, utility and service providers, and our vital social care agencies and non-governmental partners, all guided by permanent secretaries who are responsible for their elements of the territory's disaster management plan." He continued, "The efforts being made through this structure ensures that all concerns of the territory are working hand in hand to be ready for this hurricane season." Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew Foy, meanwhile, noted that every effort must be made now to ensure that the Virgin Islands does not lose recovery gains made since the impacts of 2017. Now, the footage, of course, which you've seen on our screen, is as a result of the hurricanes of 2017. Premier Foy said, and I quote, "The people of the British Virgin Islands have worked extremely hard to get to where they are now. To continue our success, we must be proactive, which is why we are meeting now and not waiting for a storm to be upon us to identify any gaps that exist in our overall readiness. My government stands ready to do what is needed to ensure that we are able to withstand any major impacts from events that may impact the territory this year, whether it be flooding, strong winds, landslides, or storm surge that comes in the devastating hurricanes and have impacted our islands recently." Now, the NDMC is responsible for carrying out actions that are taken in keeping with the Virgin Islands' comprehensive disaster management policy and, of course, strategic planning. During this meeting, the group received reports from the chairpersons of the council's various committees, who are permanent secretaries, the financial secretary, and of course the director of communications. The organization will also consider the outlook of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, the readiness of public service, which will be presented by Deputy Governor David Archer, of course the ongoing risks of COVID-19, and the priority steps that may be needed to help the Virgin Islands be ready this hurricane season. We want to encourage you viewers both to be secure and to make sure that your business and residential properties are being prepared for. Now is also a very good time to look at your insurance policies. Over on the regional scene, President Afran Ali of Guyana proclaimed that the floods across Guyana have reached the stage of a national disaster and crisis. In a gazetted proclamation of the floods as a national disaster, it was noted that 28,228 households have been affected by flooding in all 10 administrative regions. Some of those households have been water entering homes, while in other cases, domestic animals and livestock have been left in distress, while farmlands have been damaged. The Civil Defense Commission noted that while Guyana floods have been classified as a level 2 disaster, indicating that the national capacity to respond is not overwhelmed but extremely tough and help is needed. The situation in some regions can be classified as level 3, which would allow for more international support. They said the impact of the flood in the regions vary, with regions 1, 3, 4, 8, and 9 being at level 2. Given the national capacity to manage the impact, the regions of 2, 5, and 7, and 10 are classified as level 3. Based on the magnitude of the flood, it is for this reason that regional and international support is needed to effectively mobilize resources in order to respond and recover from the impacts of floods. Now, of course, with support from the government and the private sector, the CDC has been reaching out to communities with relief supplies. To date, 17,829 cleaning hampers and some 21,735 flood hampers have been distributed across the regions as forms of emergency relief. Shelters have been set up in regions 2, 9, and 10, housing a total of 205 residents who have been displaced from their homes. Now, the Guyana government is also seeking international help to assist in the flood relief efforts. We continue to wish viewers, our residents and friends over there in Guyana and across the region, the very best and utmost of safety as we continue to traverse through the natural disasters that continue to impact us all, not only during hurricane season, but on a regular basis. Viewers, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. That is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for your daily news roundup and updates at 284media.com. And of course, like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Ron Grant. It is always a pleasure. We'll see you again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and of course, international content. We're 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media out of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. A happy Monday to each and every one of you. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.